Evil step-parents, what did you do to earn that title? My wife and I love each other a lot. We're solid in many ways, but there's one thing we heavily disagree on, and that's how to raise my 16-year-old stepdaughter, Susie. My wife firmly believes Susie's old enough to do literally whatever she wants. No consequences, no restrictions, nothing. And the worst part is that if I ever disagree with her, I get reminded how I'm just the stepdad who should know his place. The thing is, I've been in her life since she was 5, and I've tried everything to be a great stepdad. I've paid for ballet lessons, drove Susie to every competition she had, and I still cook breakfast for her every day. But she just hates me for seemingly no reason. For example, just a few months ago, I caught her selling disposable vapes to 12-year-olds. Given that my own 14-year-old nephew was recently hospitalized because of vaping, something she knew, I was enraged, but I managed to collect myself to calmly talk to her. But she refused to even speak to me. You can't tell me what to do. Only mom can. I'm not talking about it. She then rolled her eyes dismissively. That's when my wife joined in, telling me, "You're not her dad, don't act like it." They backed one another up, and my wife took her upstairs to talk. I don't know what was said. All I know is, Susie is yet to admit she was wrong. And then, my relationship with Susie, which was already rocky, plummeted to rock bottom a few weeks ago. She came to me asking for a new MacBook after she dropped it and scuffed the corner. It wasn't broken. It worked perfectly, and so, I told her no. I didn't have that kind of money right now. I'd spent a lot in the past year helping with my dad's funeral costs. I told her so, and she snapped at me. "Why did you do that? He's dead anyway. That money should be spent on me and mom." I was shell-shocked, frozen even. My throat clamped shut. "Got you there, didn't I?" She mocked my silence. Before I even knew what was happening, my wife ran downstairs. She took Susie's side without even asking what the original conflict was about. And before I knew it, I was getting called dumb and a terrible stepdad for prioritizing some dead guy over the light of my life. I couldn't even speak. I just stayed silent, waiting for them to stop. But then Susie outright insulted my dad, asking me if I got my uselessness from him. That's when I exploded. I yelled at them to shut up so loud my voice broke. They went silent, and I said that Susie wasn't getting a cent, and until she apologized, I'd be cutting off her allowance. This was the first time I ever raised my voice like that. I went to bed that night feeling guilty and borderline mad at myself for how I handled the situation. And for the next few days, the house was silent, cold, thick with tension, until something broke the silence. It happened the day I went to visit my father's grave. Every Sunday I went there to talk to him, and I always wore his old watch. It was the watch he gave to me, 3 generations old and priceless. I'd even bring the original box with me, which I'd set down by his headstone before talking to him. I know it's silly, but the watch being there made me feel like he was really listening. I went to my drawer to take it out, but the watch wasn't there. I panicked. I started checking every drawer and rushed downstairs to ask my wife if she'd seen it. But instead of a response, I was met with silence, radio silence. I asked her again if she knew where the watch was, and this time, she tried to divert by asking what I wanted for breakfast. She even rushed into the kitchen and started preparing something, but I stopped her. I asked her again, very sternly, "Where is the watch?" I maintained eye contact the whole time, and she broke. She started crying, begging me not to be mad. I chuckled nervously. Why would I be mad? It's not like my watch is gone or anything. Well, that's when she spilled. Turns out, Susie was mad at me for not buying her the MacBook, and she deemed that to be the fault of my deceased dad. In her mind, I needed to let go of my connection with him, and once I did, I'd be more than happy to spend my money on things that actually mattered. So she took my watch, pawned it for a couple $100s, and right at this very moment was out, treating herself and her girlfriends to a spa. My world stopped when my wife told me. I felt so many emotions at once. Rage, sadness, betrayal, everything, but I didn't show any of it. In fact, I stood there smiling, because while my wife was looking at me concerned, telling me we can get the watch back, my mind was on one thing and one thing only. If Susie wanted to act like a spoiled, entitled, bratty gremlin, then I would treat her like one, because this was no longer just about the watch. This was about being the man my dad raised me to be. I can't tell you how I finally dealt with Susie in this short video. The full story is on my channel and linked below.